How's it going, everyone? So Marvel Cosmic Invasion has been released for over a month now, and post-launch, a lot of people had their gripes about Marvel Cosmic Invasion, whether it's too short, whether there's not enough content, or they were just done with this game after a week. The replayability wasn't there for them. And in this video, I want to talk about why I think that happened and why I think Tribute Games was probably on crunch time making this game, trying to make this game as fast as possible. I don't think this game was in development for a very long time. I could be completely wrong with that, but just how the content is. And one of the things that is highlighted in this video that I think really held them back from making more content or maybe making a more in-depth beat 'em up game is characters. We haven't seen a beat 'em up game come out with a 15-man roster, I don't think ever. And I think that's one of the biggest things that held this game back. I believe that if they didn't release a big roster for Marvel Cosmic Invasion, fans were going to be pissed. But I think that was ultimately the downfall of having more depth in a beat 'em up game. Having a 15-man roster, having to do move sets, having to do voice lines, having to do supers, having to do tags, all of that to do 15-man off the rip, off the jump. I believe that was a big toll for them to take. I don't think they came out with a 15-man roster in a long time. How many characters was in Shredder's Revenge? We had the 4 Turtles, we had April, and we had Splinter, and that was it. And then we got Casey Jones after you beat the game. So it was that 7 max. Imagine adding double that, +1 to your roster, and how much time that would have to take in adding even the tag system to this game. So I think they were running with the double-edged sword with Marvel Cosmic Invasion. They knew they had to put a lot of characters out. They knew that they wanted to have a big roster for a Marvel game, and I'm sure maybe Marvel had some insight and said, hey, can you make the roster bigger? Can you add more characters in this game? I'm sure they were up for that task, but maybe it was rushed out. Maybe they had to meet a certain deadline where this game didn't conflict with the other tribute game that they're making with Scott Pilgrim EX, which is another reason why maybe resources were pulled from this game initially, because 2 tribute games were being made simultaneously. Scott Pilgrim EX and Marvel Cosmic Invasion were kind of like parallels. Maybe more people were focused on, this game at first. And when this game launched, they pulled everyone back to Scott Pilgrim EX. Maybe that's why we don't have a release date for it yet. But I don't know. This is a 15-man roster, I believe, was a big task for them to take. I think it's a huge task for any beat 'em up developer. That's why we usually see 3, 4, 5, 6 at max on release, and then maybe down the line there's more DLC characters because they can fine tune what they have off launch. And when they make DLC characters, they could just focus on like 1 or 2 to add to DLC without having to juggle a 15-man roster from the jump. So the allocation of time from just a consumer's eyes looking into a developer's eyes, I think that was a hurdle that they had to overcome. And I think they did the best they could do, but they had to cut corners along the way. And that means just not enough content off launch, not enough, replayability, not much depth added to the game. They got the 15 characters out. They all feel great. I wish there was like more to them, more supers, more specials, whatever it could be. I wish it was added to these characters, but we didn't get that. We got a game that a lot of people said in my comment section. A lot of people were echoing this or just saying it in my comments, not really feeding off one each other, but they said that they played this game for a week or 2 and they were done with it. And some people said they honestly forgot about this game because the replayability wasn't there. And I think a big issue was that is because they had a big task to overcome to make 15 characters in this roster. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Maybe they could have done like 6, maybe 7 characters and put them offline so that were fine-tuned and had more depth in the game overall. Maybe more interesting stages, maybe more interesting modes. But like I said, it was a double-edged sword. I'm sure a lot of people would have been angry that a lot of characters that they love weren't in the game. Or maybe they could just put the best 7 characters offline, some unique characters and some beloved characters as well, and put them in the game first before they went for the 15-man, and maybe just devote it on DLC later or updates later in the future about adding more characters. I don't know. For me, I always saw it as 15 characters is a lot. And for them to tackle that and just seeing the end product now, it really shines a light and says maybe 15 characters wasn't the move. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about this whole thing? Do you guys think 15 characters was too much to push off launch, and that's why we don't see much depth in these characters or depth in this game overall? That there's maybe some modes missing that they could have just allocated time to put more depth or modes into this game. But then again, if you look at Shredder's Revenge, they didn't really add that off launch too, but a lot of people are saying that they enjoyed Shredder's Revenge more than Marvel Cosmic Invasion, that the stages were different, maybe the story wasn't so long in that game, and the replayability was higher in that game. In the DLC, when they added DLC in Shredder's Revenge, the first DLC, the replayability definitely went up for me because they added the survival slash boss rush mode and with the roguelike elements. I think that really brought replayability back in the game, and I thought they would learn from that and seeing what players like, but maybe they were pigeonholed and locked down to these 15 characters that they wanted to go. Maybe they were too ambitious, or maybe they had to release the game sooner than they wanted to. So maybe if this game was cooked for like another 6 months, we would have got more depth, or maybe more combos, or maybe like more player synergy, or maybe more passives to add to this game. I don't know. What do you guys think? I just wanted to make this video because it always stuck out like a sore thumb to me that maybe 15 characters was the issue for Marvel Cosmic Invasion. But like I said, I feel like people would have been pissed if they weren't 15 characters or a high amount of characters off launch. I just wish that they flushed it out a bit more, maybe waited like 6 months to push this game out to add more substance to it. It was a great game. I had a fun time with this game. I enjoy playing this game with my community, playing with my friends. It's a fun time to play co-op, but is the replayability there compared to like Absalom or other beat 'em up games like Street Fighter H4, or even some newer games like Towerborn that's coming out, and another game that's in early access called When It Go Blue? It pales in comparison to those games because the replayability isn't quite there. Once you defeat everything, once you get everyone to level 10, once you get all the trophies or whatever you want to do, it's just the urge to go back in this game isn't high for a lot of people from what I read in comments. So now I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you think they allocated too much time to characters versus other things that they could have added to this game to make the replayability better, maybe make the gameplay better, maybe add like duo like supers, just like in Marvel versus Capcom S style? That would have been pretty cool if they added that. I don't know. It was just a idea that I had in my mind for a long time. Is like, was that the reason that the replayability wasn't the best in Marvel Cosmic Invasion? Just looking at hindsight after this game was released and just playing it, I was like, maybe the move wasn't to go 15 characters off launch. But maybe that wasn't an issue at all. Maybe they had these characters developed far quicker than we think. But I know sprites are hard to deal with, and dealing with 15 unique sprites off the rip, I'm sure it took a lot of time on their hands. And developing Scott Pilgrim parallel to this game, I'm sure it took some resources away from Marvel Cosmic Invasion to put into that team. So it could be an allocation issue. It could just be that they had to rush this game out. But what do you guys think? I just want to leave that open question to you guys. Do you disagree? Do you agree? I would love to hear your opinions on why you think this game, could have been better, and maybe hopefully it will get better in future updates if we do get them, because we're supposed to get some news earlier this year. We'll see. Marvel Cosmic Invasion is a great game, but I just wish they went a little harder, and hopefully we get to see this game blossom even more with the updates and maybe future DLC, and we get to see what this game was meant to be, just like a No Man's Sky. That'd be pretty cool if they do like a whole 180 for Marvel Cosmic Invasion and really have that time to develop it and make it better. I would love to see it. All right, guys, so leave your comments below on your thoughts about the questions I set up for you guys. Is the 15-man roster? Is it just allocation of time? Whatever it might be, leave in the comments below. All right, guys, love you to pieces. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. And if you guys want to stay up to date with my content, click that bell notification down below because it'll mean a lot to me. Stay awesome, stay amazing. 2026 is going to be a great year. After this first month, I think things are going to start ramping up for sure for gaming. It's going to be awesome. All right, guys, love you all. Have a great one. Until next time, peace.